it's been a while since they've done a Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat one. I was watching a Screw Attack video, and they're doing their top 10 lists, and they actually had thrown in, they had made an offhand comment of Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat to see Dan take on Johnny Cage. And I was like, you know, I like that. So real quickly, Dan Hibiki, I ruined his last name, I'm entirely sorry, was a character who was created to be a clone of Ryu and Robert from the Art of Fighting game by SNK. SNK kind of did a bizarre clone of Ryu and Ken. So to get back at them, Capcom created their own SNK ripoff of those characters that were plays off their own characters. He was known predominantly for having, well, if you play Pocket Fighter, he's awesome. In the rest of the games, he can use the whole super meter in doing taunts. His projectile goes barely farther than his fist. If you saw Street Fighter Alpha, the movie, I think he takes on Sodom, and he does his version of his Shinku Hadouken, it's called something else. And there's all this power coming out, and it travels about as far as it travels like a couple of feet in front before it's gone. And that's that character. They did actually, he's been upgraded to the point he does actually have a projectile that's a slower projectile, but does actually cost the whole screen. And his arm motion is the wider arm motion, which you saw in a lot of the SNK games when they did their larger, more difficult jump over projectile. So there's Dan. There's you have Johnny Cage. Initially based off of Jean-Claude Van Damme, who decided they didn't want to be part of it, have his name involved in it, so he just became Johnny Cage. If you remember the Mortal Kombat movies, he was the guy who was kind of a prick. But his character actually is a Hollywood actor who's kind of a prick. So it makes sense that in the movie you pick a Hollywood actor who's a prick. He does a lot more in the game more than anything else. He's known a lot for his fireball attacks, his weird kicks and uppercuts that have shadowing effects in them, as well as nut punch and the triple head decapitation for an uppercut for a finisher. Now I do these ones differently because I can't pick certain attributes, you know, like I do for my comic books as I do for video games. So I have experience. This is when it comes to how long has the character actually been fighting. I have in close. This is your how well they do when it's a really short distance. And I have reach. This is their, you know, how good are they, you know, half screen, 3/4 screen, full length of screen. Strength. You know, do you see lots of heavier hits from this guy? Speed. You see lots of faster hits from this guy. Energy projectiles. This is pretty much, you know, this is your raw. How good are you at overall range? Versatility. What other sort of moves does your character actually have? So we'll get into this. Experience. Ironically, if you read Dan's background, Dan's father was the one who took Sagat's eye. Yeah. And Dan has spent pretty much his entire life training. He's been kicked out of several dojos because of the way that he's brash and very arrogant. But he actually has a tremendous amount of experience, especially in the street fighting circuits, before his introduction to Street Fighter. So you get someone who actually was brought up in a martial arts family, spent his entire life doing martial arts, versus somebody who is a great martial artist, but is a Hollywood-style martial artist. Yes, Johnny Cage did get into Mortal Kombat. It's really he's more than just, you know, the character who does the martial arts and doesn't need stuntmen. But yeah, it's someone who still does it more from the action film orientation for someone who does it for an entire livelihood. So Dan does have more experience. In close. This one was kind of weird. I was going back and forth, and a lot of it does come down to one of Dan's supers is a multiple hit in close fireball. You know, his fireball is very weak, but it's a great move to throw out in an in-close fight. You know, his dragon uppercut is very short. Everything he does is pretty short range, or it's relatively slow, but he's really good at a really close distance. Anything beyond super close, that's Johnny Cage. You know, his uppercut has got a wider arc to it. His shadow kick has got a better range to it than Dan's really slow, you know, quarterback circle kick. It's actually it's like a 2 to 3 hit move, but it's very slow. So you have a lot better reach when it comes to everything that Johnny Cage can do. Strength. This one, you could kind of be a toss-up. I'm actually going to slightly lean towards Johnny Cage. Just because when it comes to a lot of his moves, his have a lot more knockdown power to them. He's got a lot more in-close hits, they're a lot stronger, a lot more impactful. They do a pretty good job actually knocking the opponent down more often than not. You really don't see that when it comes to the Dan. Speed. This again is Johnny Cage. Dan was actually made as a slower character to begin with. He is the joke character. So actually, you're pretty much looking at it. He's got Dan has a move where he signs an autograph and throws it. The animation from him signing the autograph, showing you, and then throwing it. It's a very slow projectile, but that's Dan. He is a slower character. Energy projectiles. How are you at range? With the exception of Dan, well now Dan has a larger fireball that's very slow. He has the in-close fireball, and he can throw his signed autograph. I'm comparing that versus high and low green energy beams, well, green energy blasts. They're kind of like fireballs, they have a bit of an arc to them, but he can do high, he can do low, and they're full screen covering attacks. So, at range, this is very much Johnny Cage's fight. And now versatility. This again goes to Johnny Cage. He's got moves that allow for a small amount of teleportation. He's got the ultimate equalizer for taking out any male opponent in the nut shot. He also has the different things when it comes to the X-ray attacks. He just has a much wider selection of moves than you see in someone like Dan. Ironically, Dan's move list is actually kind of small compared to other Street Fighter characters. So very much like what they mentioned in Screw Attack, they want to see Johnny Cage pretty much whoop the daylights out of Dan. And at 5-2, yeah, Johnny Cage is pretty much going to work Dan to the point where it's not even going to be fun. And we'll definitely see a fatality. It's not going to be a flawless victory, but we'll definitely see Johnny Cage put Dan down.